Good day and welcome. Today is Friday, January 27th. This is the International Space Station update from Mission Control at the Johnson Space Center in Houston. The Orbit 2 team is on duty today, led by Flight Director Jerry Jason, along with Capcom, our spacecraft communicator, Christy Birtles. On board the International Space Station, we have the Expedition 30 crew. Here is a photograph of the crew, beginning with the front row, and that is Commander Dan Burbank, along with Oleg Kononenko. And on the back row, beginning with Anton Shkaplerov, Anatoly Ivanishin, Andrei Kupers, and Don Pettit. One of the highlights of this week aboard the International Space Station was the Spheres Robotic Zero-G robotics competition. That SPHERES stands for Synchronized Position Hold, Engage, Reorient Experimental Satellites. Those are miniature satellites about the size of bowling balls. And more than 250 high school students are gathered along with their teachers and their family at MIT in Boston and at the Erasmus Center in the Netherlands to watch as the scientist and astronaut Don Pettit, along with European astronaut Andrei Kupers, monitored those satellites as they performed tasks developed by the students. This year, the competition provided an opportunity for the students to write algorithms for the satellites to accomplish tasks that are relevant to future space missions. The students actually created a fictitious scenario where each of the two satellites mined a new source of energy on an asteroid and then returned to the mining camp to unload. Apart from the satellites, all the other elements of the experiment were virtual. It has been a busy week for the Expedition 30 crew. They saw the departure of the Progress 45 and have made ready for the arrival of that Progress 46 vehicle tonight at 6:08 p.m. Central Time. Docking coverage begins here on NASA television at 5:30 p.m. The unmanned cargo ship will be carrying about 3 tons of food, air, and fuel, and it will continue to fine-tune its path on its trip today to the station with a series of mid-course correction burns of its thrusters, beginning with the final phase of its rendezvous and docking to the Pirs docking compartment. Also here on board the International Space Station here in Mission Control, flight controllers are continuing to monitor that piece of Chinese Fengyun satellite debris. That satellite debris poses a minimum concern for probability of conjunction with the station over the weekend. It remains a minimum concern due to the oddity of the debris' orbit, the recent solar activity, and also the potential for any slight fluctuation in the station's orbit following the docking with the Progress vehicle. Last night, ballistics officers here in Mission Control began calculations for a possible debris avoidance maneuver on Saturday night. That maneuver would steer the station clear of the debris and also have the net effect of replacing a station reboost maneuver that was already planned for next Wednesday. A final decision on that maneuver is expected later today. If it is carried out, the VESDA service module thrusters will be fired at about 5:50 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, and that will be about 55 minutes before the first of 7 different opportunities for the debris to make a close approach to the station, both on Saturday night and Sunday morning. Those opportunities violate what we call the green threshold, the green threshold of safety here at NASA. And this is just to assure that the station is well away from any space station debris, or any debris that would hit the space station. So again, if it's conducted, the Saturday night debris avoidance maneuver will replace a reboost of the station that's planned for next Wednesday. During the week on board the space station this past Tuesday and Wednesday, Commander Burbank took fluid samples from the internal thermal control system in the Columbus module. The reports have already been received by flight controllers, and there has been no microorganisms detected. Burbank took samples in 2 of the station's connecting nodes. That's the Harmony and Tranquility, and also in the Japanese Kobo. This week he also did a Q&A session, a question and answer session with the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, and talked with students in Wise County, Virginia. He was joined by astronaut Don Pettit for that student activity. Pettit did a safety tour video for the space station ground controllers, giving them a close-up view of what goes on inside the station. He did that on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, he did a Legos brick educational activity, building a model of the Solar Dynamics Observatory and a radar satellite. He did all this from a guidebook. And then on Thursday, he cleaned the filter on the International Space Station agricultural camera. That camera captures photos of vegetation in the Great Plains, and that's a study that's run by students at the University of North Dakota. European astronaut Andrei Kuipers swapped out telemetry cables on the station's Ku band antenna. He also tested that equipment, and this helps maintain a high rate of communication between the International Space Station and ground controllers. That's important not only for good TV coverage, but it also is important for the downlink of information from the space station. Kuipers also, along with Dan Burbank, worked in the Cabot's Clean Bench facility. They made sure that the facility is in working order and also activated a microscope there. And Kuipers spent some time on Thursday working that viable payload with that payload studies microbial development on materials that are used in space. And the three astronauts, Kuipers, Burbank, and Pettit, did some on-orbit training with the space station's robotic arm. If you'll notice that the crew is having a strange sleep shift today, you'll see that they were awakened at midnight, and then they've had a midday meal today, and they've also are beginning to take a siesta. So they are sleeping right now, and they'll be asleep until about 1 Central Time. This is to accommodate the work that they'll do on the Progress docking later today. So they will not go to sleep again until midnight tonight, or excuse me, midnight on Saturday.